Imagine a Byzantine feast. 7th century Constantinople, the air thick with roasted lamb and spilled wine. Torches flicker, casting shadows on mosaic walls where nobles in silk tunics preen like peacocks. Your eyes sting from smoke, your nose twitches at the scent of myrrh, and there, at the table's head, sits Lord Nikitas, his beard a cascading badge of honour oiled to a glossy sheen. It's not just hair, it's his pride, his power, his whole damn identity. Across the room, a rival, Lord Theodosius, fueled by too much wine, sneers. His hand darts out quick as a viper and tugs Nikitas's beard. The room gasps, a collective inhale sharp as shattered glass. To pull a beard here is to spit on a man's soul. It's a declaration of war. Nikitas's face reddens, his hand flies to his sword. The clink of steel echoes as tables overturn, goblets crash, and the crowd parts like the Red Sea. You're caught in the chaos, your sandals slipping on wine-slicked stone. Theodosius laughs, but it's a nervous bark. Nobody's laughing when a beard's been defiled. In Byzantine streets, this isn't just drama. It's a death sentence. Honour's a currency pricier than gold, and Nikitas's beard, groomed longer than most marriages, is worth killing for. The duel's set for midnight, under torchlight in a courtyard where rats scurry and the air smells of damp stone. Swords flash, their edges catching firelight like cruel stars. Nikitas lunges, his blade grazing Theodosius's arm, blood seeping through silk. You hear the crowd's roar, feel the pulse of anticipation. Theodosius stumbles, his own beard, lesser but still proud, matted with sweat. In this world, a tug isn't a prank. It's a gauntlet thrown. Historical whispers tell of men dying for the less, their graves marked by tales of unshorn glory. The fight ends with Theodosius on his knees, Nikitas' sword at his throat. Mercy, not tonight. The crowd cheers, but you taste bile. Honour's a brutal master. This isn't just a brawl, it's Byzantine life. Beards weren't fashion, they were sacred, tied to God and masculinity. A tug was a public shaming, a middle finger to a man's entire existence. Think of it as medieval Twitter beef, but with actual blood. The loser's not just humiliated, he's marked, maybe mutilated. Records hint at laws punishing beard pullers with exile or worse. You dodge a servant rushing past, his tray clattering, and wonder, who'd die for a beard today? Yet here, in this madness, it's all that matters. The night ends with Nikitas' victory, but the air's heavy with dread. One tug, one death, Byzantine honour doesn't mess around. Step into a Constantinople marketplace, 8th century dust clogging your throat. The sun beats down, baking the stench of fish, sweat, and overripe figs into the air. Merchants hawk silks and spices, but your eyes lock on a noble, Lord Phocas, striding through the chaos, his beard a lustrous black cascade, longer than a bishop's sermon. Flanking him are 2 bruisers, hired muscle with swords at their hips, eyes scanning the crowd like hawks. Their job? Protect that beard. Not his gold, not his wife, his facial hair. In Byzantine high society, a beard's worth more than both, and Phocas isn't taking chances. You hear the jingle of coins as a beggar lunges, fingers grazing Phocas's prized whiskers. The guards pounce, fists flying, the beggars yelp, drowned by market din. It's absurd, like hiring bodyguards for your man bun, but here it's deadly serious. Beards signal status, lose one, lose respect. Historical accounts whisper of men paying fortunes for beard protection, fearing rivals who'd sabotage their honour with a single yank. You smell the guard's leather armour, feel the crowd's press, and catch a rumour. Some believe a noble's beard holds magic, a charm against evil. Superstition or not, Phocas's guards aren't laughing. The marketplace hums with tension. A rival noble, Spiridon, eyes Phocas from a spice stall, his own beard neatly trimmed but no match. Jealousy festers. Spiridon's got a history of beard envy. Once accused of hiring a thug to shave a foe, you see his hand twitch, but the guards' glares stop him cold. Their swords gleam, a warning shaper than words. The crowd whispers of curses, a beard's growing back threefold if cut by a traitor. It's nonsense, but in this city, nonsense kills. You sidestep a spilled basket of dates, heart pounding as Spiridon retreats, his pride bruised but his tongue intact. This beard obsession isn't just vanity, it's survival. Byzantine culture tied beards to divine favour. Shave one, insult God. A guarded beard was a flex, like driving a Rolls-Royce through a slum. But the cost. Constant vigilance. You hear a guard mutter about a past client, beard clipped in a bathhouse ambush, now exiled, shamed. Focus moves on, his whiskers untouched, but you feel the weight of this world. One wrong move, one tug, and blood flows. Like, share, tell us, would you guard your beard with your life? You're standing in a Constantinople square, 9th century sun scorching the cobblestones, the air heavy with the stench of sweat and rotting fruit. A crowd gathers, their murmurs buzzing like flies as a man, Demetrius, is dragged forward, hands bound, eyes wide with dread. His crime? He yanked a noble's beard in a drunken tavern spat, thinking it a jest. Big mistake. In Byzantine justice, a beard's not just hair. It's a sacred relic, and defiling it demands blood. The executioner, a hulking figure with a scarred face, sharpens a blade. Its metallic rasp cutting through the crowd's hush. You taste bile, the air thick with anticipation. As Demetrius' fate looms, his tongue will pay for his finger's sin. The noble, Lord Andronikos, stands tall, his beard a glossy cascade, untouched but burning with righteous fury. He demanded this punishment, citing ancient laws that equate beard-pulling to blasphemy. Historical records a whisper of such penalties. Tongue-cutting wasn't just justice, it was a warning, a grotesque billboard screaming, "Respect of the whiskers." The crowd parts, revealing a wooden block stained dark from past use. Demetrius is forced to his knees, his muffled pleas drowned by the mob's jeers. You hear the creak of his jaw as it's pried open, feel the crowd's collective shudder. The blade flashes, blood sprays, and a scream, sharp as shattered bone, cuts the air. His tongue lands in the dust, a grim trophy. You stagger back, the metallic tang of blood mixing with the square's filth. This isn't modern justice, where you tweet an apology and move on. Here, a tug is a death knell. The crowd's mixed. Some cheer, some wince, but all know the rules. Dishonour a beard, lose more than pride. Andronikos nods, satisfied, his beard gleaming like a king's crown. You catch a whisper of folklore. Some say a cursed beard grows back, haunting its offender. Nonsense, maybe, but the blood-soaked block says otherwise. Demetrius collapses, alive but silenced, a living cautionary tale. You imagine him later, mute, shunned, his life as ruined as his mouth. This is Byzantine honour, raw and brutal, like a reality show where the loser's maimed. Laws from the era, like those in Justinian's code, backed such punishments, tying personal honour to divine order. You dodge a stray dog sniffing the blood, your sandals gritty with dust. The executioner wipes his blade, smirking, another day's work. The crowd disperses, but the air's heavy, thick with the cost of pride. Like, share, tell us, would you risk your tongue for a prank? Here, one tug rewrites your fate and the blade's always sharp. Step into a dimly lit Constantinople church, 10th century shadows dancing on gilded icons. Candlelight flickers, casting a warm glow on stone walls, the air thick with incense and murmured prayers. You're shoulder to shoulder with worshippers, their faces etched with awe, as a priest with a beard like a prophet's paces the altar. In Byzantine culture, beards aren't just status, they're divine, whispered to hold mystical powers. You hear a rumour, passed in hushed tones. A noble's beard, grown long and untrimmed, can ward off demons or curse foes. It's absurd, like believing your beard's a Wi-Fi hotspot for God, but here, it's gospel. The priest. Father Leon strokes his beard, each strand a testament to piety. His sermon weaves tales of saints whose beards glowed with holy light, protecting cities from invaders. Historical accounts hint at such beliefs, beards tied to divine favour, their length a measure of faith. You feel the crowd's reverence, their eyes fixed on Leon's whiskers as if they hum with power. A woman beside you clutches a relic, whispering of a beard hair that healed her son. You smell wax and myrrh, hear the rustle of robes, and sense the eerie weight of superstition. Is it true? Nobody knows, but nobody dares test it. Across the church, a skeptic, a merchant named Ioannis, scoffs under his breath. His own beard's trimmed short, practical for trade, but it marks him as lesser here. Last week he mocked the magic beard tale, and now his wares rot in the market. Cursed, they say. You catch his uneasy glance, his fingers twitching as if to stroke a longer beard he doesn't have. The priest's voice rises, warning of divine wrath for those who disrespect sacred hair. You feel a chill, the candlelight dimming as if in agreement. Folklore's grip is tight. Beards aren't just hair, they're talismans, and doubting them invites ruin. This isn't just religion, it's a cultural obsession, like chasing viral fame, but with higher stakes. Byzantine texts like hagiographies linked beards to miracles, blending faith with fear. You sidestep a kneeling worshipper, your heart pounding as the priest's gaze sweeps the crowd. The air's heavy, the incense choking, the whispers of curses lingering. Like, share, tell us. Would you trust a beard to save your soul? In this church, belief's a gamble, and the stakes are eternal. You're elbow deep in a Constantinople bazaar, 8th century chaos swirling around you. The air reeks of fish, sweat, and overripe figs, the sun baking the cobblestones under your sandals. Merchants shout, hawking silks and spices, but the crowd's attention snaps to a scuffle near a bread stall. A young trader, Alexios, red-faced and bellowing, clutches his beard, short but proud as a rival Georgios laughs, his fingers still curled from yanking it. In Byzantine markets, a beard tug isn't a prank, it's a spark in a powder keg. You hear the crowd's murmur swell, feel the press of bodies, and taste dust as the fight erupts. Alexios swings a fist, missing Georgios but toppling a basket of dates. The crowd roars, half cheering, half scattering as the two men grapple, their beards tangled like warring banners. You dodge a stray elbow, the crunch of boots on dirt loud in your ears. Georgios, a burly spice merchant, mocks Alexios' pathetic scruff, his voice dripping with scorn. Historical whispers confirm this madness. Beard insults in Byzantine markets could ignite brawls, even duels, as honour was worth more than gold. You smell blood as Alexios' dagger flashes, nicking Georgios' arm. The crowd's a living beast now, egging them on, their shouts sharp as shattered glass. This isn't just a fight, it's a public trial. Beards here are a status, masculinity, God's own signature. To mock one is to court ruin. You catch a glimpse of Alexios' eyes, wild with rage, as he pins Georgios against a stool, wood splintering. A woman nearby shrieks, clutching her own husband's beard as if it might be next. Rumours swirl. Some say a shamed beard brings bad luck, a curse on your trade. Georgios stumbles, blood seeping through his tunic, but he's grinning, taunting. You feel the heat, the chaos, like a bar fight gone medieval, where one insult rewrites your fate. The brawl ends when guards arrive, their armour clanking, swords drawn. Alexios stands victorious, his beard intact but his hands bloodied. Georgios limps away, shamed, his own beard now a mark of defeat. Byzantine records hint at such clashes. Markets were battlegrounds for honour, where a tug could bankrupt you socially. You sidestep a spilled jug of oil, heart pounding. Like, share, tell us. Would you throw a punch for your beard? In this dusty, frenzied bazaar, one tug is a declaration of war, and the stakes are always bloody. Picture a Constantinople villa, 7th century twilight casting long shadows across marble floors. The air hums with the scent of rose oil and myrrh, a brazier's glow warming the room. Lord Nikephoros, a noble with a beard like a philosopher's scroll, sits rigid as his barber. A wiry man named Stephanos wields gold scissors with priestly precision. Snip, snip. The sound's hypnotic, each cut shaping Nikephoros' beard into a masterpiece of Byzantine prestige. You're close enough to smell the oil, to see the glint of candlelight on each glossy strand. This isn't grooming, it's a sacred rite like polishing a crown for God's own face. Stephanos combs the beard, his fingers deft, muttering prayers as if the hair's divine. In Byzantine high society, a beard's not just style, it's your resume, your piety, your power. Historical texts describe elites spending hours on grooming, their beards oiled, braided, even dusted with gold. You hear the hum of a servant's chant, feel the room's warmth, and catch Nikephoros' smug glance in a bronze mirror. He's not just preening, he's armouring himself for court where a flawless beard silences rivals. Think of it as a medieval Instagram filter. Except one slip of the scissors could ruin your life. A servant spills a drop of oil, and Nikephoros' glare could curdle milk. The barber's hands tremble. Rumours say a botched beard got one barber exiled. You sense the tension, thick as the incense curling upward. Whispers float of magical beards, their lustre tied to divine favour. Mess it up and you're cursed. Stephanos finishes, dusting the beard with rosewater, its scent sharp in your nose. Nicephorus rises, his beard a flowing testament to wealth, each strand screaming, "I'm untouchable." You imagine the court's envy, their own beards suddenly lackluster, like off-brand knockoffs. This ritual's no joke. Byzantine elites bankrolled their beards like modern CEOs bankroll PR teams. A perfect beard could sway a deal, win a bride, or dodge a dagger. You step back, the marble cool underfoot, as Nicephorus strides out, his beard catching torchlight like a holy relic. Like, share, tell us. Would you spend hours primping for power? In this villa, every snip's a gamble, and a beard's worth more than gold. You're in a Constantinople alley, 9th century dusk cloaking the world in grey. The air's thick with the stench of damp stone and rotting fish, the distant hum of vespers barely audible. A woman, Irene, stands alone, her widow's veil tattered, but her eyes blazing like torchlight. Her late husband's beard, once a proud, flowing emblem of honour, was mocked at his funeral by a rival, Lord Cassianus, who dared call it a beggar's scruff. In Byzantine society, such an insult doesn't just sting, it's a blade to the soul. You see Irene's trembling hands clutching the hidden dagger as she steps toward Cassianus's villa. Her heart's a drumbeat, her breath sharp, vengeance is her only inheritance. Irene's no noble, but her husband's beard was his pride, groomed with care despite their poverty. Cassianus's words spat on his grave, and in this city, a widow's defiance is rare, dangerous, thrilling. You hear the crowd's murmurs from the marketplace whispering of her audacity. Women here rarely wield power, but Irene's different. She's a spark in a tinderbox. Historical records hint at women defending family honour, though often at great cost. You smell the alley's filth, feel the grit underfoot as Irene slips past a guard, her blade glinting like a crescent moon. She's not here to talk, she's here to carve justice. Cassianos lounges in his courtyard, his own beard oiled to a smug sheen, oblivious to the shadow approaching. You catch Irene's steady breath, her veil brushing her cheek as she moves. She doesn't need to kill, just a nick, a public shaming to mirror his insult. The crowd outside grows hushed, sensing trouble like dogs before a storm. You feel the tension, thick as pole, as her dagger grazes Cassianus's beard in trimming a single strand, and he roars, his pride bleeding more than his skin, as guards rush in. Irene flees, her laughter sharp, a widow's defiance louder than any sword. This isn't just rebellion, it's a middle finger to Byzantine patriarchy, like hacking a rival's social media in medieval robes. Women like Irene were outliers, their stories buried in chronicles but real enough to inspire. You dodge a stray cat, heart racing as the crowd erupts, some cheering her nerve. Cassianus's shame spreads faster than plague. His beard's now a joke, like share, tell us. Would you risk everything for a dead man's honour? In this alley, Irene's blade writes her name, and the city won't forget. Dawn breaks over Constantinople, 7th century light creeping across a courtyard's cobblestones. The air's crisp, laced with dew, and the faint reek of yesterday's market. Two nobles, Lord Petros and Lord Michael, face off, swords drawn, their beards, both long, both sacred, fluttering in the breeze. Last night Michael sneered at Petros's beard, calling it a rat's nest during a banquet. In Byzantine high society, that's not shade, that's a death warrant. You hear the crowd's low hum, feel the chill on your skin, the steel glints in the half-light. This duel's no game, it's honour's bloody ledger. Petros lunges, his blade whistling, grazing Michael's shoulder. Blood seeps, staining silk as the crowd gasps, their breath fogging in the dawn. You smell iron and sweat, hear the clash of steel like a blacksmith's hammer. Beards here aren't just hair, they're banners of God and man, and an insult's a call to war. Historical accounts describe duels over such slights, with courts turning a blind eye if honour was at stake. Michael parries, his beard matted with sweat, his eyes wild. You feel the cobblestones grit, the crowds press, as Petros's sword finds flesh, a deep cut across Michael's chest. The duel's over fast, Michael collapses, blood pooling like spilled ink, his beard now a grim shroud. Petros stands, panting, his own beard untouched, but his hands trembling. You taste the crowd's awe, their silence heavy as a crypt's. This isn't just violence, it's Byzantine justice, raw and final, like a viral feud settled with blades instead of memes. Chronicles note such duels, where men died for a word, their graves marked by tales of unshorn pride. You step back, the dawn's light cold as Petros walks away, victor but haunted. Honours won, but at what cost? The courtyard empties, leaving only blood and echoes. You hear a widow's wail in the distance, feel the weight of a city where beards dictate destiny. Like, share. Tell us, would you draw a sword for a slight? In this dawnlit sunlit slaughter, one word sparks a funeral, and the blade's always ready. You're in a Constantinople tax office, 8th century air heavy with the musty scent of parchment and ink. The sun barely pierces the narrow windows, casting slanted beams on a clerk's desk, where scrolls pile like a paper avalanche. A new edict, whispered to come from the emperor's court, demands a tax on long beards. Yes, you heard that right. Every inch of facial hair over a hand's length costs a silver coin monthly, a fortune for most. You hear the clink of coins as merchants and nobles line up, grumbling, their beards swaying like banners of defiance. In Byzantine bureaucracy, even your whiskers aren't safe from the taxman's greed. The clerk, a weaselly man named Theodorus, smirks as he measures a noble's beard with a knotted cord, each knot a coin's worth. The noble Lord Basil fumes, his beard a lustrous cascade that screams wealth. You smell his rose-scented oil, see his fists clench. Paying for pride stings worse than a blade. Historical records don't mention a beard tax, but Byzantine obsession with status makes it plausible. They taxed everything from land to breath, so why not hair? The crowd mutters, some joking about shaving to dodge the fee, others whispering of curses on tax collectors. You feel the tension, thick as the dust motes swirling in the light. A merchant ahead of you, his beard barely taxable, tosses a coin and spits, "Next they'll tax our shadows." The crowd laughs, but it's a nervous chuckle. Here, honours tied to beards and taxing them feels like theft of the soul. You catch Theodorus's sly glance, his own beard trimmed suspiciously short. Is he dodging his own tax? The irony's rich, like a medieval IRS scam. A rumour spreads, one noble refused to pay and his beard was forcibly shaved. His shame broadcast across the city. You imagine him now, hiding in shame, his face bare as a baby's. The line moves, coins clinking like a grim toll. This tax isn't just about money, it's control, a leash on Byzantine pride. You step forward, the floor gritty under your sandals, as Basil pays, his face a mask of rage. The clerk's pen scratches, sealing his dignity's price. Like, share, tell us. Would you pay to keep your beard? In this office, every strand's a status symbol, and the emperor's coffers grow fat on your honour. You're inside a Constantinople church, 10th century incense curling like ghosts in the air. Candlelight dances on golden mosaics, the hum of chants vibrating in your chest. A priest, Father Gregorios, stands at the altar, his beard a silver cascade revered as a mark of divine favour. In Byzantine worship, beards aren't just hair, they're holy, tied to saints and miracles. But today, the air's tense. Two nobles, their own beards gleaming, argue in hushed tones near a reliquary. One accuses the other of trimming his beard to mock the church's sanctity. You smell wax and myrrh, feel the pews creak as their voices rise, threatening violence in God's house. The dispute's over a single snip. Lord Constantinos claims Lord Ioannis's shortened beard insults the sacred traditions. Historical texts note beards as symbols of piety. Trimming one could signal heresy. The crowd shifts, their murmurs sharp, as Gregorios raises a hand, his beard swaying like a prophet's. He warns of divine wrath, his voice low but cutting, like a blade through silk. You see Constantinos' hand hover near his dagger, Ioannis's eyes narrowing. The church, meant for peace, feels like a powder keg, the air heavy with the threat of blood. You hear a woman gasp, clutching a cross, as if the saints themselves watch. Constantinos draws his blade, a flash of steel in candlelight, and the crowd recoils. Ioannis stands his ground, his trimmed beard no less proud, daring his rival to strike. You feel the chill of stone walls, the weight of sanctity and sin colliding. Fights over beards in churches weren't rare. Chronicles whisper of brawls over perceived slights, honour and faith tangled like roots. Gregorios steps between them, his beard a shield, his voice booming of curses on those who defile the sacred. The nobles freeze, but the tension lingers, like a storm waiting to break. You imagine the fallout, a shamed noble, a bloodied altar. This isn't just a spat, it's Byzantine faith weaponized, like a holy war over a haircut. You sidestep a kneeling worshipper, heart pounding as the priest's gaze sweeps the crowd. Like your share, tell us, would you fight for your beard in church? In this sacred space, one snip sparks a vendetta, and God's watching. You're in a Constantinople bathhouse, 8th century steam curling through the air thick with the scent of eucalyptus and sweat. The dim glow of oil lamps flickers on tiled walls, their mosaics glinting like wet jewels. A noble Lord Simeon reclines on a marble bench, his beard a proud cascade entrusted to his barber, Nicias, a man with deft hands and a grudge. Nicias's rival, another barber, paid him a sack of coins to sabotage Simeon's beard, a betrayal as sharp as the scissors he wields. You hear the snip-snip, each cut precise, but Nicias's smirk betrays his intent. In Byzantine society, a barber's touch is sacred, but a slip is treachery, and Simeon's honour hangs by a thread. Nicias works, his blade grazing too close, trimming unevenly. A deliberate nick here, a jagged patch there. Simeon, half dozing in the steam, doesn't notice, but you do. Your heart pounding as the beard's glory frays. Historical whispers suggest such betrayals happened. Barbers, trusted like priests, could ruin a man with one bad cut. The bathhouse hums with chatter, but the air's tense, like a storm brewing. You smell the oil on Simeon's beard, feel the heat of the steam as Nicias finishes, stepping back with a grin. Simeon rises, glances in a bronze mirror, and his roar shakes the tiles. His beard, once a masterpiece, now looks like a mangy dog's pelt. The bathhouse erupts. Simeon grabs Nicias by the tunic, his voice a bellow of rage, accusing him of treason. The crowd gasps, their murmurs sharp as the scissors left on the bench. You see Nicias's eyes dart, his own short beard no shield against Simeon's wrath. A botched beard isn't just a bad haircut, it's social death, like getting cancelled in a city where honour's everything. Guards rush in, their armour clanking as Simeon demands justice, exile, or worse for Nicias. You feel the steam's clammy grip, hear the crowd's laughter, cruel and gleeful. Nicias pleads, but the damage is done. Simeon's shame will echo through Constantinople's courts. This betrayal's a Byzantine soap opera, where scissors cut deeper than swords. You sidestep a puddle, the air heavy with betrayal's sting, like, share, tell us, would you trust a barber with your status? In this bathhouse, one snip rewrites your fate, and Nicias's grin is a traitor's signature. You're weaving through a Constantinople slum, 9th century dusk painting the sky bruise purple. The air's thick with the reek of unwashed bodies and charred bread, the streets narrow and muddy. A commoner, Demetrios, a fishmonger with hands rough as barnacles, strokes his beard, scruffy, uneven, but fiercely proud. In Byzantine society, beards aren't just for nobles. Even the poor cling to them as badges of manhood, scraps of honour in a world that grinds them down. You hear the bustle of the street, hawkers shouting, and feel the grit under your sandals as Demetrios shares a tale of his beard's glory with a friend, his voice warm with defiance. Last week, a merchant mocked Demetrios's patchy beard, calling it a beggar's whiskers. You see his eyes flash, his calloused hand tightening on a knife. He didn't fight, not yet, but the insult festers, a wound deeper than any blade. Historical accounts note commoners' pride in their beards, tying them to God and community despite poverty. You smell the fish on Demetrios' hands, hear his friends' low chuckle as they swap stories of beard feuds. A woman nearby, mending nets, nods. She's seen men brawl over less. The street hums with life, but there's tension, like a taut bowstring ready to snap if honour's challenged. Demetrios' beard, though ragged, is his shield. He oils it with cheap fat, combs it with his fingers, and wears it like armour against the world's scorn. You feel the crowd's press, the weight of their shared struggle. A rumour floats, some say a commoner's beard, grown long, brings luck, a whisper of divine favour. It's a flicker of hope in a slum where hope's scarce. You imagine Demetrios facing that merchant again, his knife ready, his beard a banner of resilience. Chronicles hint at such pride. Commoners fought, even died, to defend their whiskers, their last claim to dignity. This isn't just pride, it's survival, like clinging to a hashtag in a world that ignores you. You step over a muddy rut, heart heavy with Demetrios' quiet strength. Like, share, tell us. Would you fight for your scruffy pride? In these streets, a beard's a lifeline, and every strand tells a story of defiance. You're in the great palace of Constantinople, 7th century torchlight glinting off golden mosaics. The air's heavy with incense and the rustle of silk robes as Emperor Leo strides through, his beard a flowing testament to divine rule, each strand gleaming like a holy relic. Courtiers bow, their whispers hushed, eyes fixed on his whiskers, longer than a bishop's prayers, oiled to a godly sheen. In Byzantine culture, an emperor's beard isn't just hair, it's a crown of divinity, a signal of God's favour. You feel the marble floors chill, smell myrrh thick as fog, and hear the soft clink of gold combs as attendants trail him. This beard's no joke, it's a symbol that could sway empires or spark wars. Leo pauses, his gaze sweeping the hall, and you catch the courtier's awe, their own beards paling in comparison. A servant fumbles a comb and the room tenses. Touching the emperor's beard is a sacred task, botching it near blasphemy. Historical chronicles like those of Procopius describe emperors' appearances as divine propaganda. A flawless beard could silence rebels or woo allies. You see a noble smirk, his own beard trimmed, and sense envy sharper than a dagger. It's like a medieval red carpet, where one bad hair day could cost you the throne. Leo's beard, groomed for hours, is a flex of power, untouchable yet a target for whispers of sabotage. A rumour floats, a rival once slipped ash into an emperor's beard oil, dulling its shine, and was exiled by dusk. You hear the courtiers' murmurs, feel their fear as Leo's attendants adjust his beard with trembling hands. The air's thick, the incense choking as if the beard itself demands reverence. This isn't just grooming, it's a ritual of rule, like curating a divine Instagram feed. You imagine the chaos if a strand were cut. Courts would riot, priests would wail. Leo moves on, his beard a glowing emblem, but you sense the weight. Divinity's a heavy crown and every strand's a risk. This is Byzantine power, where a beard's worth more than gold. You sidestep a bowing servant, heart pounding as the emperor's presence lingers, like, share, tell us, would you bow to a beard? In this palace it's not just hair, it's the face of God, and one misstep could end you. You're in a Constantinople diplomatic hall, 9th century chandeliers casting a glow on silk-draped tables. The air hums with the scent of wax seals and roasted peacock, tension crackling like a storm. A Frankish envoy, Alaric, stands before Byzantine nobles, his clean-shaven face a stark contrast to their lush beards. He laughs, pointing at Lord Nikephoros' beard, a cascading masterpiece, and calls it a barbarian's rug. The room freezes, gasps sharp as shattered glass. In Byzantine courts, a beard's honour is sacred. Insulting it is diplomatic suicide, like trolling a king on live TV. You feel the heat of outrage, hear the rustle of tunics as hands hover near daggers. Nikephoros' face darkens, his beard quivering with rage. He steps forward, voice low but venomous, demanding Alaric retract his words. The envoy smirks, doubling down, unaware he's lit a fuse. Historical records, like those in the Chronographia, note foreigners underestimating Byzantine beard reverence, sparking feuds or worse. You smell the wax of sealed treaties, see the nobles' eyes glint with fury. Alaric's guards shift, sensing danger, but they're outnumbered. The hall's a powder keg, the insult a spark, diplomacy's crumbling and blood might seal the deal. The emperor's representative, a stern official with a beard like a prophet's, intervenes, his voice cutting through the din. He demands Alaric's apology or exile, citing laws tying beard insults to treason. You hear the crackle of parchment as a scribe notes the incident, feel the crowd's pulse racing. Alaric, defiant, refuses, his shaven chin a badge of ignorance. The nobles murmur of curses, whispering that a mocked beard brings doom. You imagine the fallout, trade deals soured, armies mobilized, all for a careless word. The hall empties, but the air's heavy, like a storm about to break. This isn't just a gaffe, it's a Byzantine crisis, where a beard's worth more than peace. You step back, the marble slick underfoot as Alaric's smirk fades under glares. Like Cher, tell us, would you mock a beard in a foreign court? In this hall, one word ignites a fire and diplomacy burns. You're on the outskirts of Constantinople, 10th century storm clouds rolling in, the air sharp with the scent of wet earth and ozone. Thunder rumbles as you stand near a crumbling shrine, its stones slick with rain. A crowd huddles under cloaks, whispering of a curse tied to a desecrated beard. Lord Andreas. a noble whose prized whiskers were shorn by a rival in a midnight ambush. In Byzantine lore, a beard's not just hair, it's a vessel of power, and defiling it invites divine wrath. You hear the winds howl, feel the chill seeping through your tunic as a priest warns of doom, his own beard swaying like a prophet's curse. Andreas, once proud, now hides, his face bare, his name a byword for shame. The crowd claims his crops failed, his horses died, and shadows haunt his villa, all because his beard was cut. You catch their fearful glances, their fingers tracing crosses. Historical whispers, like those in Byzantine chronicles, tie beards to mystical protection. A shorn beard could anger God himself. You see a flickering torch, its light dancing on the shrine's cracked icon, and hear a woman murmur that Andreas's beard grew back overnight, ghostly and vengeful. It's nonsense, but the storm's growl makes it real, the air thick with eerie dread. A boy points to a raven perched nearby, its core sharp as a blade. The crowd gasps, another sign of the curse. You feel the mud underfoot, the rain stinging your face as rumours swirl. Andreas's rival, the beard cutter, fell ill, his own hair falling out. The priest chants, his voice a low drone, warning that desecrating a beard angers spirits. You imagine Andreas, alone staring at a mirror, his bare face a wound. The storm breaks, lightning cracking, and the crowd scatters, their fear palpable. This isn't just superstition, it's a Byzantine ghost story like a cursed TikTok filter that ruins lives. You linger, the shrine's silence heavy, the curse's weight heavier. Like, share, tell us. Would you tempt fate by cutting a beard? In this stormlit world, one snip summons doom, and the heavens are watching. You're in a Constantinople tavern, 8th century night alive with the reek of sour ale and charred meat. Lanterns sway, casting jittery shadows on wooden walls as laughter and curses fill the air. Two men, sailors with beards like tangled nets, square off near a splintered table. One, Nikos, slurred that Petros's beard looked like a rat's nest drowned in wine. In Byzantine taverns, that's not a quip. It's a match to kindling. You hear mugs crash, feel the sticky floor under your sandals as the crowd forms a ring, their shouts egging on the chaos. This is no bar fight. It's a beard-fueled vendetta, raw and rowdy. Nikos swings, his fist grazing Petros' jaw, toppling a bench. Petros, eyes blazing, grabs a jug and smashes it, ale spraying like blood. You smell the sour spill, hear the crowds roar, their bets as wild as the brawl. Beards here are pride, even for sailors, and insults a gut punch to honour. Historical accounts describe tavern fights over beard slights, where knives often settled scores. You see Petros' beard, matted with sweat, as he tackles Nikos, their grunts echoing. A woman laughs, tossing a coin betting on blood. The air's thick, the fight a drunken dance of rage. Nikos lands a punch, splitting Petros' lip, but Petros answers with a knee to the gut. You feel the crowds press, their breath hot with excitement. A rumour floats. Last month a similar brawl ended with a man's beard shorn, his shame outliving him. You imagine Nikos' fate if he loses. Mocked, exiled from the docks. The tavern's a circus, like a medieval fight club where beards are the prize. Petros pins Nikos, fist raised, but a guard's shout stops him. Violence in taverns risks arrest, but honour's worth it. The crowd boos as they're separated, blood and ale mingling on the floor. This is Byzantine life, where a beard's worth a broken nose. You step over a shattered mug, heart pounding with the tavern's pulse. Like, share, tell us. Would you brawl for your beard? In this smoky den, one insult sparks a riot, and the fists fly fast. You're in a Constantinople shadow, 9th century moonlight slicing through a narrow alley. The air's heavy with the stench of damp stone and rotting straw, the city's pulse a distant hum. Maria, a widow cloaked in black, moves with purpose, her breath steady, a poisoned ring glinting on her finger. Her husband's beard, once a proud oiled cascade, was mocked at his wake by a rival, Lord Theodorus, who called it a peasant's scruff. In Byzantine society, such an insult defiles a man's memory, and Maria's vow is vengeance, sharp as the toxin she carries. You hear her soft steps, feel the night's chill, as she nears Theodorus's villa, her heart a drumbeat of resolve. Maria's no warrior, but grief fuels her. Her husband's beard was his honour. groomed despite their meagre means and Theodorus's words spat on his grave. You smell the alley's filth, see her veil flutter as she slips past a sleeping guard. Historical whispers, like those in Byzantine chronicles, tell of women avenging family honour, rare but fierce. Her ring holds a powder deadly in wine, a widow's answer to a noble's scorn. The villa's courtyard looms, torchlight flickering on Theodorus's beard as he laughs with guests. You feel the tension, thick as fog, as Maria approaches, her smile a mask, her hand steady. She offers Theodorus a goblet, her voice sweet, but her eyes burn. He drinks, oblivious, his beard gleaming like a taunt. You hear the crowd's chatter, the clink of glass, and sense the poison's silent work. The insult's cost is coming due. Byzantine honour doesn't forgive Ursa, and neither does Maria. You imagine the aftermath. Theodorus collapsing, his beard no shield against death. The crowd's shock will ripple, her vengeance a whisper across the city. It's a medieval sting operation, where a widow's grief outwits a noble's pride. Maria slips away, her vow kept, the night swallowing her steps. This isn't just revenge, it's a woman's defiance in a man's world, like hacking a rival's legacy with a single act. You linger in the alley, heart racing as the villa's laughter fades. Like, share, tell us, would you poison for honour? In this moonlit plot, Maria's ring writes justice, and Theodorus's beard won't save him. You're in a Constantinople square, 10th century twilight casting long shadows over cobblestones. The air carries the scent of baked bread and distant sea salt, the city's heartbeat softening as night falls. A storyteller, an old man with a beard like grey waves, speaks to a gathered crowd, his voice weaving tales of beards as Byzantine identity. From emperors to fishmongers, beards were more than hair. They were honour, faith, defiance etched into the empire's soul. You hear the crowd's murmurs, feel the evening's cool breath, as he recounts a noble who died defending his whiskers, his legacy outliving his grave. The storyteller's hands trace his beard, each strand a thread of history. He speaks of battles won, curses dodged, and duels fought, all tied to the sacred hair. Historical chronicles, like those of Michael Sellos, paint beards as symbols of continuity, binding men to God and each other. You see a young boy listening wide-eyed, his own sparse beard a promise of pride. The crowd nods, some touching their own beards as if feeling the weight of centuries. You smell the smoke of a nearby brazier, hear the creak of a cart and sense the city's pulse. Beards weren't fashion, they were its lifeblood. A woman in the crowd whispers of her grandfather, whose beard was shorn in shame, yet he rebuilt his honour, strand by strand. The storyteller nods, his voice low, poignant, tying the past to the present. You feel the cobblestones grit, the crowd's quiet reverence as he speaks of beards enduring wars, plagues, betrayals. It's like a medieval brand, a logo of resilience that no emperor could tax away. The square grows still, the twilight deepening, and you imagine those lost beards, their stories carved in the city's stones. This is Byzantine legacy, where hair holds history's weight. You step back, the storyteller's voice fading, heart heavy with pride's cost, like, share. Tell us, would your beard carry your story? In this square every strand is a saga, and Constantinople remembers. You're in a Constantinople courtyard, 8th century torchlight flickering like dying stars. The air's thick with the scent of pitch and damp stone, the night cold enough to bite your skin. Two nobles, Lord Constantinos and Lord Alexios, face off, their beards, both long, both sacred, gleaming under firelight. Last night at a feast, Alexios mocked Constantinos' beard as a vagrant's tangle, a slur that echoes like a war cry in Byzantine high society. You hear the crowd's low roar, feel the cobblestones grit as swords are drawn, steel glinting with cruel intent. This isn't a duel, it's a legend in the making, where honour's price is blood. Constantinos lunges, his blade slicing air, grazing Alexios' arm. Blood seeps, staining silk as the crowd's cheers swell, their breath fogging in the chill. You smell iron and sweat, hear the clash of steel like a hammer on an anvil. Beards here are more than hair, they're banners of God, and an insult's a death sentence. Historical chronicles, like those of Theophanes, record such duels where men died for a word, their beards their final testament. Alexios counters, his beard matted with sweat, his eyes wild with rage. You feel the crowds press, their shouts sharp as shattered bone. As Konstantinos' sword finds flesh, a deep gash across Alexios' chest. Alexios falls, blood pooling on cobblestones, his beard a grim shroud over his dying breath. Konstantinos stands, panting, his own beard untouched, but his hand shaking. You taste the crowd's awe, their silence heavy as a crypt. This is Byzantine justice, like a viral feud settled with blades, not likes. The victor's triumph is hollow. Konstantinos' eyes are haunted. Shibtir, knowing each duel carves a piece of his soul. You imagine the tales already spreading, the bearded hero, the fallen fool. The courtyard's torches flicker out, leaving only blood and echoes, a legend sealed in gore. This is honour's climax where a beard's worth a life. You step back, the night's chill sinking deep as the crowd disperses, whispering of Konstantinos' glory, like Cher, tell us, would you die for your beard? In this torchlit slaughter, one insult writes an epitaph, and the blade sings true. You're in a Constantinople graveyard, 10th century dawn casting a pale glow over weathered stones. The air's heavy with dew and the faint rot of earth, a widow's wail cutting through the silence. Beards, those sacred Byzantine emblems, lie beneath these graves, nobles, sailors, commoners, all bound by their whiskers' honour. You walk past a fresh grave, its marker etched with a name, Demetrios, killed in a duel over a beard insult. His widow kneels, her sobs roar as you smell damp soil and feel the wind's eerie hum. This is the cost of Byzantine pride, where a tug, a word, a snip buries men. The graveyard whispers of battles fought for beards, duels, betrayals, curses, all tied to hair that defined a man's soul. Historical records, like Seleucus' tales, show honour as a brutal currency, paid in blood across Constantinople's courts and slums. You see a cracked tombstone, its owner shamed for a shorn beard, his family ruined. The widow's hands clutch dirt, her grief a mirror of the city's obsession. You hear distant chants from a church, feel the weight of tradition, as if every beard here still demands reverence. It's like a medieval obsession gone viral, but the price isn't likes, it's lives. A raven lands nearby, its core sharp as if mocking the graves. You imagine the men beneath, their beards now dust, their honour a fading echo. Some fought for God, others for pride, but all paid the same. A shroud, a wail, a stone. The widow rises, her eyes hard, vowing to guard her son's sparse beard from this fate. You feel the dawn's chill, the grave's silence, and sense the human cost. Pride's a fire that burns all. This isn't just history, it's a warning carved in earth and tears. You turn away, the graveyard's weight lingering, heart heavy with mortality's truth. Like, share. Tell us, would you pay honour's price? In this city of beards, every strand's a story, and every story ends here. You're in Constantinople's Hagia Sophia, 6th century air thick with incense and the hum of chants. Golden mosaics shimmer under chandelier light, the crowd's breath a reverent fog. Emperor Justin ascends the throne, his coronation a multi-hour spectacle dripping with divine pomp. His robes glitter, heavy with gold thread, his crown a crushing halo. You smell myrrh, hear the priests drone and feel the marbles chill beneath your feet. This isn't just a ceremony, it's a cosmic flex, proclaiming Justin God's chosen. In Byzantine eyes, he's no man, he's a deity in silk, and you're witnessing his descent to heaven on earth. The crowd kneels, their murmurs a tide of awe, as Justin raises a jewelled sceptre. Historical chronicles like Procopius's describe coronations as divine theatre, hours of rituals to cement an emperor's godhood. You see courtiers' eyes glint, some with faith, others with envy sharper than a dagger. It's like a medieval Oscars, but one wrong step could spark a coup. Incense chokes the air, your throat tight as priests anoint Justin with oils, their chants claiming he's God's voice. You imagine the weight of that crown, the fear behind his stoic gaze. Divinity's a target painted on your back. A noble whispers of miracles tied to Justin's touch, but you catch a guard's smirk. He knows emperors bleed like anyone. The ceremony drags, hours of splendour masking the empire's brutal underbelly. You feel the crowd's press, their faith a fever, and wonder, how long until a dagger finds him? This is Byzantine power, where gold and God can't stop a blade. Like, share, tell us, would you kneel to a mortal god? In this gilded cage, Justin's crowned, but the shadows are watching. You're in a Constantinople plaza, 7th century dust swirling under a grey sky. The air's thick with the scent of unwashed bodies and desperation, as a crowd presses toward Emperor Heraclius' procession. His robe, purple silk shimmering like a twilight sea, is said to heal by touch, a divine gift, or so the priests claim. A sick woman, eyes hollow, claws forward, her trembling hands reaching for the hem. You hear her ragged breath, feel the crowd's crush, and smell the city's filth. In Byzantine faith, an emperor's robe is a relic, but you sense the eerie weight of hope and delusion. She touches the silk, a fleeting brush, and collapses, weeping, swearing her fever's gone. The crowd gasps, their murmurs fevered, but you catch a skeptic scoff. A cure, or just hysteria? Historical texts like those of Theophanes note such beliefs, tying imperial divinity to miracles. You see the robe's gold threads gleam, hear the clank of guards' armour as they shove the crowd back. It's like chasing a celebrity's autograph, but with eternal stakes. The woman's joy feels fragile, her cure as uncertain as the whispers of cursed robes that burn rather than heal. Heraclius moves on, his face unreadable, the robe a beacon of faith and danger. You feel the plaza's heat, the crowd's desperation and wonder. What if the robe's power is a lie? This is Byzantine madness, where divinity is a gamble. Like share, tell us. Would you bet your life on a robe? In this dusty square, hope's a cruel trick, and the emperor's divinity wavers. You're in a Constantinople palace corridor, 7th century torchlight casting jittery shadows on marble. The air reeks of damp stone and something fouler. Emperor Maurice is heading to the latrine, his purple robe trailing like a royal comet. Guards, their armour clanking, drop to their knees as he passes, faces pressed to the floor in reverence. In Byzantine dogma, he's God's chosen, divine, even in his most human moments. You hear their muttered prayers, smell the latrine's sour stench, and feel the absurd weight of this ritual. It's like worshipping a celebrity mid-bathroom break, but here, it's law. Maurice strides on, oblivious, his robe's gold threads catching firelight. The guards' knees grind against stone, their devotion half faith, half fear. Historical chronicles, like those of Theophanes, note such absurdities. Emperors were gods, even when nature called. You catch a servant's smirk, quickly hidden, mocking this could cost a tongue. The latrine's door creaks, the stench intensifying, yet the guards stay bowed, their armour a chorus of clinks. It's a farce, like a divine TikTok challenge gone wrong, but in their palace, divinity's no joke, blasphemy's a death sentence. You feel the corridors chill, hear whispers of plots against Maurice. Divine or not, emperors bleed, and latrines don't stop daggers. The guards rise as he exits, their faces blank, but you sense the tension. This is Byzantine absurdity, where even a privy's sacred. Like, share, tell us, would you kneel for a toilet-bound god? In this palace, every step's divine, but the shadows hide blades. You're in a Constantinople basilica, 8th century incense clouding the air, heavy with grief and myrrh. Emperor Constantine IV lies dead on a marble bier, his body draped in purple, blood still seeping from a traitor's dagger wound. The crowd, priests and nobles, chants hymns, declaring him a saint despite his murder. In Byzantine faith, a fallen emperor's divinity lingers, his corpse a relic. You hear a widow's wail, smell blood and wax, and feel the stones chill underfoot. This isn't just a funeral, it's a grim pageant, where death crowns a god. Priests anoint the body, their chants droning as blood pools on marble, a stark contrast to the gold mosaics above. Historical records, like those of Nicephorus, describe assassinated emperors venerated as martyrs, their deaths proof of divine favour. You see a noble touch the corpse's robe, whispering of miracles, his eyes fevered. It's like a morbid fan convention, but with eternal stakes. The air's thick, the crowd's faith a fever, yet you sense the irony. A god-king stabbed in his sleep, now worshipped. A dagger's mark doesn't dim divinity here. The basilica hums with tension, guards eyeing the crowd for new traitors. You feel the weight of worship, the horror of a bloodied saint. Like, tell us, would you pray to a murdered god? In this crypt-like hall, death's a paradox, and Constantine's corpse reigns. You're in a Constantinople palace, 7th century candlelight flickering on gilded walls. The air's thick with the scent of spiced wine and treachery as Emperor Phocas dines, his divine status a golden cage. A noble Leo slips a vial of poison into a goblet, his smirk hidden in the shadows. Phocas, revered as God's chosen, laughs, his robe shimmering, oblivious to the death in his cup. You hear the clink of glass, smell the wine's tang, and feel the marbles chill. This isn't just dinner, it's a deadly chess game where divinity meets a dagger's edge. Leo's hand trembles as he passes the goblet, his eyes darting to guards who kneel to Phocas's every move. Historical chronicles like those of Theophanes detail palace plots. Emperors were gods, but poison didn't care. You see the candlelight dance, casting Leo's guilt in sharp relief. It's like a medieval thriller, where one sip could topple a deity. Phocas drinks, his throat bobbing, and you hold your breath, the air heavy with suspense. The poison's slow, a silent killer, and Leo's smirk grows as Phocas's laughter falters, his divine glow dimming. The hall's tension spikes, a servant dropping a tray with a crash. You feel the crowd's unease, their faith in Phocas's godhood teetering. A guard's gaze narrows, sensing betrayal, but it's too late. Poison's a patient assassin. This is Byzantine intrigue where divinity's no shield. Like, tell us, would you poison a god king? In this gilded trap, one sip undoes divinity, and Leo's smirk is the last laugh. You're in a Constantinople hallway, 8th century dusk cloaking the stone in gloom. The air's cold, heavy with the echo of Emperor Justinian II's footsteps, his purple robe a fleeting spectre. Guards tremble, their armour clanking as they kneel, faces pale with dread. In Byzantine lore, an emperor's presence is divine, his shadow a weight that crushes doubt. You hear the distant chant of priests, smell wax from dying candles, and feel the hall's oppressive chill. This isn't just a man walking, it's a god casting fear, his every step a judgment. Justinian's eyes, sharp as knives, sweep the corridor, and you sense the guard's terror. Divinity's a threat when it's mortal. The historical records, like Nicephorus's, paint emperors as untouchable yet hunted, their power a magnet for knives. You see a servant shrink back, his breath hitching as Justinian passes, his shadow stretching like a noose. It's like living under a dictator's tick-tock, where one wrong move goes viral with blood. The guards' knees grind against stone, their loyalty a mask for fear, knowing a god-king's whim could end them. The hallway's silence is suffocating, broken only by Justinian's fading steps. You feel the stones cold, the dread ye lingering like a curse. This is Byzantine power, where divinity's a shadow that kills. Like, tell us, would you kneel in fear of a man? In the dark hall, Justinian's shadow rules, but daggers wait in the wings. You're in a Constantinople plaza, 7th century heat baking the cobblestones, the air thick with sweat and desperation. A mob surges, their unwashed bodies a wall of fervour, chanting for Emperor Heraclius, their divine saviour. They believe his touch can heal, his gaze can bless, as if he's God in a purple robe. A cripple at the edge clutches a crutch, eyes wild, shouting for a miracle. You smell the city's filth, hear their fervent prayers, and feel the crush of bodies. This isn't just faith, it's a fever, a Byzantine obsession with a mortal god. The mob presses closer as Heraclius' litter passes, its gold glinting like a false sun. Historical chronicles, like those of Theophanes, describe commoners' blind devotion, seeing emperors as divine despite their flaws. You see a woman shove forward, her hands clawing for his robe, her cry sharp as a blade. It's like a medieval fandom, chasing a celebrity for salvation. Guards push back, their armour clanking, but the mob's faith is unstoppable, their desperation a living pulse. You catch a skeptic's mutter. Emperors die, yet the crowd prays on, blind to the blood on history's pages. The air's heavy, the plaza a cauldron of hope and delusion. You feel the cobblestones grit, the mob's heat and sense the fragility of their faith, Heraclius could fall tomorrow. This is Byzantine madness, where mortals become gods in the mob's eyes. Like, share. Tell us, would you worship a man for hope? In this frenzied plaza, faiths